All right. What you are watching currently or listening to currently is not a Rational Boomer podcast. It's not a TikTok. It's not a podcast. It's something entirely different. It's a new feature on the Rational Boomer platform, I guess you would say, and we'll call it something like text messages or something along those lines. And the reason I'm doing this is because a little while back I made the offer to folks that have questions or comments that they could send me a text message. I gave them a number, and as luck would have it, we got some text messages. So I want to make sure I take the time to address those text messages to let you know that I'm reading them, and then maybe I can respond to them if that's required. But if you have questions, comments, whatever you want to do, if you want to talk shit about me, that's fine too. But if you do that, understand I'm going to talk shit about you. So fair is fair. But if you have questions, comments, whatever, text them to me, 952 522 1399. 952-522-1399. I'll give it out at the end of this particular segment. Now, I don't know how long this is going to go. It depends on how many text messages I get and what kind of response is required. But nonetheless, let's get into it. Very first text message I got after putting out that number comes from somebody called the Artful Dodger. Good morning, RB. Listening to you and Will currently. Now, that's a pretty simple text. I appreciate the salutations. I appreciate the first text. Thank you very much, Artful Dodger. Um, Next one says, I think the Dems should set up a podium right next to MAGA Mike and challenge every lie that pile of garbage says. Don from Illinois. There's a gentleman I've heard from time to time. Um, yes, and I tend to agree that would be a good idea, but it will never happen because it's not following within the rules of the House of Representatives. There's rules and decorum. Yeah, I know it doesn't seem like there's that much decorum there, but that could never happen. I think they could hold a press conference after any session where Mike Johnson is talking, but they could never set up next to them. All right, the next one. Now, I will say this: if you're going to text me, do me a favor. When you make the text, end it with your first name or a handle or something, just so I can attribute it to somebody. All right, this one I've heard before. This one is interesting. This one says South Park stole Trumplafucks from you. Congrats. Now, this is the second time I've heard it. I've never heard it on South Park. But people tell me that South Park is using the term Trumplafucks, which I know for a fact I coined. I came up with it quite a while ago. It's just a way of speaking for me. And honestly, if South Park stole Trumplafucks, I'm gratified. Good, thank you. No problem. I mean, I don't have any ownership on Trumplafucks. I remember one time an older lady called me, or not called me, DM'd me and say, Mr. Rational Boomer, how do you spell Trumplafucks? And I said, well, there's no real official way. It's not a real word. It's just something I made up. And he said, well, how do you spell it? And I said, well, Trumpliffucks. She goes, okay. I go, why is that important to you? She goes, well, I'm going to post some things on Facebook and I want to make sure I spell it properly. You go, girl. You go, girl. I'm happy to oblige. All right, the next one says, "Hello, Rational Boomer. My name is Karen. This is spelled Karon. So if it's pronounced differently, I'm sorry. My name is Karen, and I listen to your podcast, TikToks, and YouTube daily. I've sent you a message before, but I'm hoping that you will address the election results of 2024. I know we don't want to sound like conspiracy nuts. However, there is so much evidence of KH Kamala Harris winning, and nobody's addressing it. I'm concerned that our elections aren't safe now because of a few people having access to our voting data, that all the podcasts are troubling because nobody is addressing this in detail. Like we just pushed past it and went on to the next topic. Concerned listener. Yeah, I'm aware. I'm aware that there are a lot of people concerned about the validity or the veracity of the 2024 election. And I've said this before, if there are facts, specific facts that on a large scale that had an impact on this last election, I'd like to see them. I know we're hearing about certain things, certain fishy things that are going on in New York, but we still haven't seen the end result to that. Do I think Donald Trump and the Republicans and Elon Musk did some fishy shit? Yeah, absolutely. But you got to understand too, if by some chance they find out that there was some shady, underhanded shit going on, what's going to happen? Are they going to kick Donald Trump out? No, they're not going to kick Donald Trump out. They're going to try to get it fixed before the next election. That's all that's going to happen. I think what you're going to find is that there's going to be a lot of things coming to the surface once Donald Trump is out of office. You've got to understand there is really no rule of law anymore. Donald Trump can do whatever he wants. The DOJ is run by Pam Bondi, who is run by Donald Trump. Supreme Court is run by Donald Trump. So even if there was some accountability necessary, who's going to do it? We've got to get these people out of there, and then a lot of this will come to light. If there were shady things going on in the election, that's when we'll see it. But even if they were to come up with something now, they wouldn't be able to kick them out of office over it. So I understand your concern. I think that they will be looking into that, and I think they'll probably find some things, whether it had a um, big effect on the election or not. I think what did have a big effect on the election were there were a lot of Democrats that simply didn't vote. Now we see what happens when Democrats get a little nervous or scared and get up off their asses and vote, a la last night with the off-year elections. We had a big turnout in an off-year election, and you saw what happened. The Republicans got their asses whooped. They got their asses kicked on every level in every election. So I understand your concerns. I'm sure they're looking into it. But even if they found something right now, it wouldn't change anything at all. Next one says, Mike, I believe we agree that Citizens United needs to be rescinded, and I agree that your assessment that lawmakers will not vote against their own interest. Is there a path where we can push for statutes where lawmakers cannot vote in any benefits or compensation to themselves? This is above the constituents they serve. And then he says, by the way, I'm Hodiner. I made some comments on some of your live shows on Substack. Yes, he has. Um, yeah, that's one of the tough things about this um, um, whole thing, um, is that whether it comes to term limits or age limits or something along these um, situations, it's the Congress that has to make those decisions or make the vote on it. And of course, they're not going to vote against their own self-interest. Now, Citizens United's a little different deal because Republicans like it, Democrats not so much. And I think what we've seen with what money does in politics, there's probably a number of folks that want to get rid of it, maybe even Republicans. Citizens United basically gave free reign to put as much money into politics as you could possibly want. And you see what we've got here now. So I think there is a stomach for getting rid of it. I don't think it's a partisan thing, really, but I'm certain more Democrats and Republicans do want to get rid of it. And hopefully they'll push forward with that when the Democrats finally get some power back in Congress. All right. Next one says, "Hi, Mike. I don't know if you have seen this, but the official website for the White House has some pretty immature and horrible stuff. When you go to the major events timeline and scroll through, you'll see what I'm talking about. I sure do miss the adults when the adults ran this country. I did go through it, and yes, there's some immature, stupid shit. But what would you expect? What would you expect from Donald Trump? He is a fucking idiot. They're immature, they're stupid, and You're right. I mean, what's going on in government generally is a travesty, and what's going on the websites and the web pages is absolutely immature and stupid. Next one says, "Hi, Mike. Looks like you hit the nail on the head when you said the emergency SNAP fund is already spent by the Trump administration. If this is the case, I'm just wondering if there's going to be any consequences for Trump, or will Republicans allow him to get away with it? Thanks, V." Yeah, I'm one of the people that have been saying that um, this concern about getting SNAP payments out is more than Donald Trump just trying to be cruel. I think that well, I don't know for sure, but I know how people like him behave, and so we've got the SNAP emergency funding that's supposed to go out to the SNAP recipients that aren't getting paid during the shutdown. It should be an automatic, natural thing. That's what Donald Trump did in the first term, but he's not doing it in this term. Is it about the cruelty? Is it about him trying to leverage the Democrats and make them feel bad so that they cave to his needs on the CR? Could be all of those things. But as I pointed out, it's conceivable that the money doesn't exist anymore. People will say, well, how is that possible? It's set aside specifically for this sort of thing and other emergency situations. Well, yes, it is. Yes, it is. But Donald Trump has been spending a lot of money on ice and planes and all kind and golf trips and all this kind of shit. He's been spending a lot of money, but nobody knows where that money's coming from. And I think I've told the story before. My father, who was fairly wealthy when he was younger, um, they get to a point where they think they're unbeatable. They're very cocky. They're very arrogant. They start throwing money around. And then when they come up short someplace, they take from another place. They ultimately end up burying themselves. But I would not be surprised that those funds are no longer there, or there are funds missing from someplace else. And when Donald Trump is finally out of office, I think we'll see a lot of this shit, and we'll get a sense of just how fucked up things are. And it'll be interesting to see what we have to do to actually rehabilitate this country financially after Donald Trump has run roughshod throughout the financial parts of the government. Um, Okay, this next one sent me a video and it says he continues his bullshit. It seems like he's trying to provoke a civil war between the red and blue states. Um, yeah, yeah, the whole Civil War thing, I'm not altogether sure that he really wants the fighting in the streets. That wouldn't go well. I mean, he's doing enough now to get people angry and pissed off and getting them to maybe get prone to violence. The whole Civil War thing is an interesting concept. I know people say, well, he wants people fighting in the streets to so that he can institute martial law, and martial law is not going to work in a country this big. There's just too many people and not enough military. But what I do believe is he wants the violence and the fighting so he can say, well, it's just like George Floyd, the liberals are going crazy. They're dangerous. But he's having a problem with that. I mean, you look at the No Kings protests, no violence. He's trying to do different things like cut off SNAP and do that to get people in an uprising, and they're not doing it. I think in that regard, because he hasn't been able to precipitate some of the violence, I think he is frustrated. I don't think he's looking at something as big as a civil war because he couldn't handle that. I am thinking that he would like to come up with something that he can hold over the head of the Democrats and say, see, they're violent, they're crazy. All right, the next one. Hey, Mike, I did try to text the last number. Okay, well, you got through this time. Have you noticed that almost everyone in Dump's circle, including almost every cabinet pick, appointee, friend, tech bros, and his VP are connected to the files? Heritage Foundation in Israel. Those seem to be exclusive to one another, yet these people are all connected to all these things, or at least a couple of them. Thanks, Amanda. Yeah, That's a good point. We do see a lot of them, and it's seeming like a lot of these people are closeted homosexuals too. Again, I have no problem with homosexuals. I do have problems with people that are homosexuals that are trying to marginalize their own community. Those are the worst of the worst. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, is number one among them. But yeah, I think it's all tied in. I think uh, the Project 2025. I think they're all connected. It's kind of a small group of a bunch of fucking weirdos that are trying to get their agenda across the line. And I think even Project 2025, the Heritage Group, is getting a little nervous now because it's going a little too fast. Things aren't going the way they expected, and it's getting a little hard to deal with. All right, this next one comes from Elizabeth. So I live in California, and let me tell you, the Trumplafucks here are insane. I listen to them at work, though. I won't don't participate in conversations because, like you say, it's completely pointless. Yeah, that's true. The Trump talk is less because I think they must be embarrassed, but they just move on to hating on Newsom or complaining about something. Now, today I hear them talking today how Trump is allowing half the amount of SNAP benefits, and who are these stupid judges opening their big mouths telling Trump what to do. Yet, all during Biden, they love the judges who stopped those student loan forgiveness. I guess they rather have everyone starve and give all their tax dollars to the rich. These women are just so stupid, and I have zero respect for them. I really wish they would leave California. I don't understand how anyone can live and function with that much cognitive dissonance. I just hope that the start of the pendulum swinging back smacks them all in the face. What awful human beings they are. Thank you for reading this. Um you keep you help keep me sane. I listen to you every morning, and I love all your guests. Such a great show. Oh, my name is Elizabeth. Well, thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate that very much. And you're absolutely right. There's nothing you can do to argue with these dumb fucks. Um, uh, they're idiots. They don't want to learn the truth. If you slap them in the face with the truth, they wouldn't know what was hitting them. Um, I really think it's about these people who have not lived lives that they were expecting, and they expect more. And much like most people do, they start um, looking for people to blame. Nobody takes accountability for themselves. So they blame the government. Donald Trump comes out and says, I hate the government too. We're going to fight against him. That is their only hope. So they jump on board that fucking crazy train, and they don't get off because they've got no other options. Unfortunately, that train will go off a fucking bridge and they'll go with them. All right, the next one. Yo, Mike, what's happening, man? Love your podcast. Listen to you pretty much every day. Excuse me. Still dealing with a minor cold. I get up about 5:30, and then in preparation for work, I listen to your podcast, and it takes me into the first hour or two of work, which I am in industrial maintenance in a public school in central Kansas. So, yeah, fucking surrounded by idiots, but anyway, you keep me sane. Anyway, I haven't heard from Kristen in California. What's she up to these days? Also, really like the one guest, Tony from South Carolina, to see if you can get some perspective on what they think right now. All right, cool beans, man. Take care. Yeah, Kristen, I reached out to a couple of weeks ago because I know a lot of people were asking about her. And she said, "Oh yeah, I'll come on." But she was in the middle of a move or some things happening, and she said she would get back to me. So if Kristen hears this, call me. People are axing for you. And Tony calls me intermittently and says, "Yeah, I'm ready to come on now." I have a feeling if he listens to this broadcast or this segment, he'll hear his name and he'll give me a call. I always look forward to talking to Tony and Kristen and all the rest for that matter. It's always interesting to talk to them. And, And as I've said before, it's not just limited to the people that you hear as guests. Anybody who listens to what we do here with the Rational Boomer podcast is eligible to come on the show. You're absolutely eligible to come on the show. So all you have to do is text me and say, Mike, I'd like to come on the show, and we'll work something out and we'll have you on. Very simple. Hopefully you'll consider that. Um, all right, this next one says, oh, this is a long one. Mike, what do you think about this as the beginning of the end for narcissistic dementia, Donnie? He sent me a link. It sure so like it to me. I just wish more people that are in his face would ramp up the pushback and pressure him into totally losing it, causing him to post absolutely nothing but rage and lashing out in front of the cameras. It needs to happen so bad so these cult sycophants can't just wash it away. I know, Mike, you can't understand why these Republicans and conservative voters are going to hang on to Diaper Donnie um, till he crashes and burns. It's because people like I went to school with here in Indiana have two people I went to school with voted for Diaper Donnie. They voted for him because they hate our government so much. They voted for him because they knew he'd destroy our government and our Constitution. I think out of the 49% that voted for him, that 39% of them, this is what they wanted: our Constitution and our government to be torn apart. I feel those Republicans in D.C. feel this way too. They want our government and Constitution destroyed. The Republicans are all on board with making Project 2025 a reality and law. The real push for this started with Reagan. He really helped accelerate things to where we are today. Diaper Donnie was just the perfect child to light the match on burning our government to ashes. Yeah, actually, I agree with you. I think a lot of the people, the base, like Donald Trump because they feel like they've been put upon by our government. Their lives suck, so they got to blame somebody. They aren't going to take. Uh, they aren't going to be able to take responsibility for themselves. Um, so they blame the government. Donald Trump says he's going to take down the government. Now, the Republicans in Congress, I think it's a little different situation. They've made a lot of money off the government. But the Republicans understand things are changing very quickly. We've got a lot more younger people coming in 2028 and beyond. And the Republican Party, as we know them now, aren't long for this world. The young people aren't buying the bullshit, the racism, the sexism, the anti Semitism, the treason, the deportations. They don't have a stomach for it. So that they know their time is short. So they're kind of in the middle of a smash and grab right now, grabbing whatever they can before they get their asses kicked out. So I think you're right on track with that. I think we got some people that just jump on board because they don't care as long as Donnie destroys things. And I think the Republicans need to destroy things because there is no future for the Republican Party. Last one says, Hi, Boomer. Longtime follower. Just wanted to say, keep it up. I'm a fellow Boomer, 1961. I was born in 60, so we're a year apart. And I appreciate you making the comments and the questions and what have you. So I'm going to do short segments like this every so often when I get enough texts so I can sit down and talk about it and address them. I used to do them within the podcast, but that's harder to do now when I have a lot of guests. There isn't the time to do it, and I don't want to make the guests sit and wait. So we'll do these extra shows, and they'll be the text message shows, if you will. And if you want to send a text message, a question, a comment, whatever, very simple. Send it to 952 522 1399. I'm going to give it to you again. 952-522-1399. You have a question, comment, you want to say, Mike, you suck, go ahead, send a text. And if you want to be on the program, on the podcast, you're more than welcome to do that. All you have to do is text me, tell me you want to be on the program, and we'll work it out. We'll work out the timing and the logistics, and we'll get you on the show. A lot of people came on the show for the first time, and a lot of them are here all the time now. People get a lot of value out of all the guests, and everybody has something to offer. So don't be afraid. Don't hesitate. Just reach out, and we'll have you on the program. So, well, that's the end of this segment, the text message segment. Rational Boomer podcast is going on now. You can listen to that as well. And there'll be a Rational Boomer podcast for tomorrow, too. We're here every fucking day. Don't ask me why. We are. And be looking for the TikToks and that sort of thing. We've got you covered here with the Rational Boomer. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you again soon.